Always just takes a couple seconds for people to pop in, and we are live. Okay. Well, let's get cracking this morning. Welcome everyone to the Public Practice Accountants Club on the Clubhouse, where public practitioner, thought leaders, industry specialists, and accountants just like you discuss the hot topics in public practice and how they go about navigating the public practice landscape all around the world. So fundamentally, public practice has the same principles, dynamics, and challenges no matter where we are in the world. So we might have some different tax seasons, busy periods, and legislation, but at the core, we are very much the same. So our room this morning is graduate programs, what you need to know first. So I do think I know most people that I can see online at the moment, but a very quick introduction. I am Linda Steffens, accountant, author and introvert, and moderator and co-host of this public practice discussion group on Clubhouse. So I've been hanging around public practice for just on 30 years now, and work particularly with helping accountants transition their compliance clients into regular advisory clients. But of course, my amazing co-host is with me again this morning, Kyelie Baxter. Good morning.
Good morning, Linda. You can see me and you will be able to see that I am wearing the biggest coat in the world because it is freezing, which for a Gold Coaster means it's like, probably 18 degrees or something. No, I'm sure it's less than 18, but it is freezing here. So if I can sum up my week in like 3 words, it's cold tax planning.
That's what's been happening.
And doing tax planning. Like I'm living and breathing those 3 words.
Oh,
so
we
that's
just
my life right now.
We just love this time of year, don't we? There's lots going on.
I have a serious love-hate relationship with tax planning. Like
Okay.
I love it because you
Yes.
get to be so proactive, and it's
Yes.
really in that advisory space, and it's great. And clients see so much value in it,
Yes.
but at the same time, it's such hard work.
Mm.
It's very mentally draining.
Yes.
So, and you have to be so on because you're seeing so many people. So
Yes.
yeah, that's fun.
Well, we're so thankful you're here with us this morning, and your brain is here with us this morning. So that's really cool. Thank you, Kyelie. I'm sure.
Talk about graduate programs.
Yes, and I'm sure you're not the only one that is very busy and probably up to their ears in either lodgement deadlines or tax planning or all of the stuff that happens, certainly here in Australia, around our end of financial year, which is coming up very quickly. All right. So, yes, we are talking about graduate programs this morning. So just a quick reminder, if anybody wants to chat with us, certainly you're welcome to on Clubhouse. You can chat to us live. All you got to do is hit on your little microphone icon, and that will let us know that you've got something to say. You can just say hello if you want, or you can say hello in the chat to us. I believe we've got chat all working. So that's a nice way to talk to us as well. Or if you would like to do it nice and privately, you can certainly send us a message. It's the little aeroplane or kite icon. We can't really decide what icon that is, can we? I don't know what it is. It's
a kite.
You think it's a kite? Okay, we'll go with kite. It's the kite icon over on the right-hand side. But of course, we are a public practice discussion group, so you can get your PD points for listening on in. So thank you for being here. And a quick reminder as we kick off the conversation that our intention is always to be positive, supportive, and collaborative as we come together in support of our amazing industry, no matter where we are in the world. All right, graduate programs. Now, I particularly want to talk somewhere through this morning about why graduate programs really just benefit everybody. New accountants, your firm, your existing team, and of course, the industry as a whole. So it's really about, for me, the encouragement around graduate programs and how you can look at successfully rolling them out for your firm. So I'll certainly be giving my 2 cents worth on this topic, and I know, Kyelie, that you will as well. So graduate programs. well, why should we think about having graduates within our businesses, within our firms? Look, I think a good place to start is certainly that over the last couple of years, our worldview has definitely shifted. You know, it's changed a lot of things around how we look at things, how our employees, team members look at things. We've got a lot of conversation around things like the Great Resignation. There has always been a skills shortage in accounting, and that ain't going away anywhere fast. So we've also got our talent coming from different generation as well. So a different generation, they have different ideals, wants and needs perhaps to the business owner or the seniors in the practice. So I think there's some really important reasons around why we should look at graduate programs. I don't know what you think, Kyelie. What do you think?
Yeah, I think graduate programs are definitely one of the solutions to the current resourcing issue that we've got. So definitely a great time to, you know, have this discussion. But I want to iron out fairly on in the piece just a bit of a misconception. I did a bit of talking to some colleagues about grad programs this week in preparation. And I think that some business owners sort of think that graduate programs are only something that big firms offer. So yeah,
love that. Yes.
I want to just smack that one on the head straight away this morning and say, for the purposes of this discussion, we're not talking about the grad programs where there's like 30 spots. We're talking about actually just offering a program to graduate accountants or even undergrads work as well. So we can go through that too.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's no reason why this model shouldn't fit firms of all shapes and sizes. And it's not just limited to large firms that can take on large groups of grads at the same time.
Absolutely. We're not talking PwC or Ernst Young, anything like that. We are talking very much firms of any size. And, you know, even if you're a firm size of one, this can also work for you. So it's just looking at really why you want to do it, what you want to get out of it, and then putting some, you know, resources and planning behind it, really. But I think from my perspective and what I see in my work all of the time when I'm working with accountants and accounting firms is the struggle around this skills shortage, and a really something that can really sideline a business for quite some time is when a key staff member leaves. And it's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. And okay, guys, you can't see Kylie's face, but she just went, she just, you know, that's a really big impact to a firm or a business across the whole board, isn't it, Kyelie?
It is, and it never ceases to amaze me when employers are surprised that that's and they don't have a backup plan. You know, one of my favourite lines, Linda, I have to ask, what is going on?
Yes, I'm sorry. I do have construction in the background. My apologies. Yes, that's all it is.
The building is not falling.
No, it's a new door going in.
Okay, very good. No, but, you know, it always surprises me because one of my key sayings to my staff, particularly early on, like I could not say this confidently now. Well, I couldn't say it at all. I'd just be a live answer now. But, you know, I have to be prepared that all of my staff turn up on the same day and resign on the same day. You know, and that's the thing. And I guess I still have to be prepared for that. But what has been my solution at different stages? Like certainly when the firm was much, much smaller, let's do the work myself. Like whatever, you know, no big deal. I do the work myself until I can find some other people. That's definitely not an option now, the way our firm is structured and the size that it is now. I couldn't do the work myself for one day, you know. So I think you've always got to have these get out of jail passes for, right, if that person goes, who can do their work? If that person goes, who can do their work? And it has to be a trickle-down effect. A graduate program is like the foundation level of work.
Absolutely. I like to look at this too, is that successful sporting codes get this very right. We're very big sporting nation. And, you know, you look at football or any cricket, any type of thing, they have these people that are coming through all of the time. as an industry, we need to be doing that as well. And, I often get some pushback from, owners of accounting firms that say, yeah, but we train them and then they go away. Well, yeah, they might. I mean, that's the risk that you need to run, but you've got a much better chance of when you've got them. It's like, well, wow them, put some effort in, and guess what? They might stay. But yeah, it's that trickle down effect, Kyelie, is that if you've always got somebody that's just coming behind, a couple of steps behind, and at that right time when someone key leaves, then you can step them up or offer them an opportunity. And that is really the number one absolute reason why you should have graduates around your business, in my mind, because I just see all of the time accountants going, I need a senior accountant, I need an intermediate accountant. Well, someone's got to grow them. They don't just pop up. They don't just pop up.
Great point. So you would have heard that saying, grow from green.
Yes.
And that is really in line with this grad situation, right? Grow from green.
Absolutely.
Because the one, I think, phrase that every employer hates is when they get a new senior or even intermediate and they say every sentence during training or even, right into 6 to 12 months that they work there starts with, at my old firm.
Yes.
And you're like,
exactly.
Oh.
Yes.
You don't get that with grads.
No.
They don't have an old firm.
No, they don't.
That's refreshing.
I like that.
The best thing about them is you actually get to just teach them exactly how you want to do it and your specific way. It's also fresh eyes. So grads tend to be this beautiful, unscathed, excited, fresh opportunity,
motivated,
breath of fresh air,
yes,
positive, all of those things.
Yes.
So it's more than just, a maybe we should talk about that too, maybe more economical or affordable hiring option. It's also, there's these other positives that come with it. And we should also be careful not to stereotype grads into, 22-year-old university students.
No, we've talked about this before too.
Who the grad is.
No, not anymore. We're seeing that change a lot. People that are coming, what do you call them, Kyelie? New to accounting. They're just new to accounting. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, you might be getting people that have had other jobs and quite high-level other jobs, but they're moving across into this space, which is great as well.
Absolutely. So yes, I think we will definitely look at the economic and financial side. We're accountants, right? So we need to look at that. And just another point on that, I think too, that what you talk about is graduates, they have none of those bad habits, or they're not suffering from that change type of thing that's going on when you do enter a new job or come from another firm where you do say, well, at my old firm, I get that. So the one thing, again, that I always say to accounting business owners is no new team member will hit the ground running. Now, often recruitment decisions are made because you have an immediate need for work to be done. This is a different way of looking at recruitment. This is planning over the long term. So we've got somebody to come through, but no one will hit the ground running. They may be able to have the technical expertise that you need, but they do not know how you do it. They do not know your internal policies. So regardless, even if you've got a very experienced accountant coming on board, they are going to take at least 6 months before they really hit the ground running. So that is a huge misconception and a myth that I like to go out there and bust a whole lot of the time. I don't know, Kyelie, what's your take on that?
I agree. And I think there's two things to consider with that. First of all, this is about making your business, having a solid business model.
Yes.
How am I going to staff to service these clients and keep the promises to these clients that I've kept? What sort of service do I want to provide? Blah, 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 blah. But more so than that, and I've lost my train of thought, but it's going to come back to me in 1 second. More so than that, it's about, I guess, making sure that you've got all those people in line to do the work. So practically, sometimes when you're making the decision of putting on a grad and you're like, what are they going to do? You know, it's going to be 6 to 12 months before they're actually going to be doing proper billables, and they'll just take so much of my time and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
One of the ways to compensate against that is to have actual list of things that they can do,
Yes.
which will help them in their journey. And I think that's part of the disconnect between grads and employers. You know, the employer wants them to become a really great billing machine, which is super important.
Yes.
But when we're talking about graduate programs, it's actually not all about that.
No.
And positive things can come for the employer when it's not just about billings focused.
Absolutely. And I think that's across the board. And I know you and I talk about the business of accounting a lot in these discussions. And it's very much about planning and resourcing and communicating what it is that you want to do as a business. It's so much more than just doing the work. And you mentioned I've listed some what I thought are long-term benefits here with graduate programs. And you've just hit the number one, which is overcoming business risk. And so that you've always got somebody to come through so that your business isn't severely impacted when you lose a very key team member. And it happens, there's people move on for many, many reasons, some good, some not so good, but, it happens. The second thing is I think that you've got to also look at the retention of your talent. I think there's benefits that come from having graduates in a firm, if you've got other accountants around, that they can start to learn their teaching skills, learn management of people in a small way, have someone they can delegate to. It doesn't all need to fall on your shoulders. So I think retention of your existing talent comes into graduate programs as well. Recruitment of future talent. If you're seen as a business that is bringing through accountants, training graduates, giving back to the industry, that's going to help you be recognized as an employer of choice as well. That's a huge thing when it comes to this skill shortage and, a whole lot of things. So just being recognized as that. Culturally, I think it's good. You get a mix of people in your firm, different ages, different experience levels. And so I think culturally it can also benefit. And the final one is just around having a community and industry focus. Now, I've got actually two firms that I'm working with on a regular basis. They are regional firms, and it's very important to them that they show they are giving back to the community, that they are part of their community. Now, you mentioned right at the beginning, we talk undergrads. They're taking people through in their graduate programs from an undergrad status. And they also have a local university, which they are connected with, that then they do some of this graduate work with. So I think there are loads of long-term benefits. I haven't even started on the short-term benefits yet, but the long-term benefits are there. And I think we've got to get past this disconnect. Like you said, that it's really about work and about the billing machine that we would really love to have in place, but really is not a reality for some time, I think.
It's not a reality for some time. And I think practically, and all of those are awesome points, but practically, if you get this grad in the door, what are they going to do and what can they do? Mm-hmm. One of the reasons that you would run a graduate program is to bridge that gap between university and the workplace.
Yes.
So, you have to remember that these people you're going to get the wonderful grads that are coming from another profession, right?
Yes.
So they've already been in the workplace, they've been in the market, they come in, they know the office situation. But half of the time, or probably more than half, depending on your location, you're going to get people that potentially haven't ever worked in an office before.
Yes.
So part of it with a grad program is you get this opportunity to do some scaffolding around, okay, this is how offices work.
Yes.
When you come in the morning, you say good morning to people. Because if you just sit down at your desk, it's not very social.
Yes.
All of that stuff, that's assumed knowledge for other roles, doesn't have to be assumed knowledge in the grad program role.
Yes.
And that's what I really love about that role. And to be real about it, I have had several intermediate accountants over the years come to me and say, I just don't think I'm at the level that I'm at. I might be there technically, but I just don't feel like I'm there speaking to clients wise.
Interesting.
I don't know how to do any of the client services or administration. So I feel totally out of my depth. It's like there's all this assumed knowledge there. I really feel like I need to be trained in those areas. So I think we're seeing it from the staff as well, where they're a bit like, well, I've just been taught my bit, but I actually want to see how it all connects.
Yes.
I think that's a generational thing as well.
I agree.
Depending on when you came into the industry, we've all been taught in different ways. I know that I certainly train my staff differently to the way I trained them 10 years ago and to the way I was trained. So we also have to think about what people are looking for now. And I think this graduate program sits in a really niche, beautiful position because you can actually teach them from the ground up. You teach them what client services does. You don't teach them to do the job. They're not going to sit and do that role. You teach them what they do. Because I have this thing for me and my staff that if you're going to delegate work to someone, you really need to know what they're supposed to do or what the outcome should be, not necessarily how they do it step-by-step detail, but what they're supposed to do so that you can at least check that, yeah, that's what I wanted you to do.
Absolutely, Kylie. I think that is so important. And I'm just going to go right back to the beginning of what you started there. And I think with a graduate program, you kill two birds with one stone. I also see when I go out and work with accounting firms is that their onboarding of new team members, regardless of their experience level, is, let's say, mostly non-existent. All right. And so, yes. And so if you start to look at a graduate program and put together these office things that we do and some training, then you can just manipulate that very slightly, just shift it slightly, and it can become a new employee onboarding program. My apologies, that drill is terrible.
It's going to be a great
They are putting a lot of hard work into that door. It's going to be a great thing for us. But I think that's another thing that you can look, another key benefit, killing two birds with one stone, spend time on putting the graduate program and the training that you need generally, and you can roll it out as an onboarding program across the board. Second thing that I picked up out of there is all of that, that knowledge that is assumed. I had a number of years ago now, but I had a accounting business owner. She wrote the unwritten rules written. That was her document. And it was given to all new team members when they came in. And it said exactly those things. Come in, say hello. We expect you to say hello. Come in, do this. Things around holidays. You know what? We're busy, tax planning time. We really don't want you having holidays, April, May, and June. It's not a great look. But, we, of course, will look at anything. But that's just these unwritten rules, assumed information, really, really important, particularly where we're experiencing this generation gap happening now between, I think, owners of accounting businesses and where our talent's coming from. It's different now. So I think you do have to teach some of those basic office skills.
It is different, and it's also different for every single firm. All accounting firms are so different these days in culture. So partly it's about learning that culture as well. How do you guys do what? And staff are smart. They'll ask questions like, how friendly are you guys? Do you hang out together after work? They really suss it out. And some people are really looking for that. They're looking for a super social environment where everyone's really good friends. Some people are like, oh, I want to be friendly at work. The end.
Yes.
And that's great. I love people that know exactly what they're looking for.
Yes.
Because then it's easier to tell whether they're going to be a good fit.
That's exactly right. And I think that expectation of, I always have the expectation is that you need to be nice and polite and have a great working relationship with someone. You don't necessarily have to have this friendship outside of the office. It really just needs to be a working relationship. So I think taking away that expectation of we all have to be besties, you don't need that. And, it's different people for different horses and different courses,
Yeah, I say friendly, not friends.
Excellent.
That's your choice.
Yes, yes. Perfect.
But I think when we remember that we're really bridging that gap between where they've come from and our workplace,
yes,
that's a really good spot to go, all right, what are they going to do? What do I need to show them? What do I need to teach them?
Mm-hmm.
A graduate program isn't one that you can put an ad on Seek or have a recruiter land in your inbox ad hoc, because we're all getting a lot of them at the moment, even though there's a talent shortage. So we should go through that in a sec. And then put them on and then go, okay, cool, I've got a grad, so let's run this program. You actually have to do the word program infers that you need to develop a program. And I want to talk about that now.
Yes.
Because you're doing yourself and your grad a disservice if you don't actually have a program. So what does that actually look like? It's just a plan. It's a plan of, here's your case. So think of it like, when you did your CA or your CPA or even your uni degree, right? These are the modules and these are your learning objectives. And once you know those things, then we tick them off. So it doesn't have to be, on Monday you do this and on Tuesday you do this and blah, blah, blah. The way I do it is I go, okay, it's going to be a 12-month sort of program.
Yep.
In the first 3 months, you need to learn these key objectives. Then the second 3 months, you need to learn these and so on and so on. So you get about 12, and it's not one a month because sometimes you need to learn 2 at the same time.
Yes.
And then I look at those 3 months and I break it down. And as an example, when I teach people about the importance of...
Oh, we've just lost Kyelie a little bit there. I'm not sure who we've lost, Kyelie or myself, but that's okay. I'll pick that up from there. Talking about that 12-month plan, I think it's just super, super important that we are also thinking about just taking the time to actually do this plan. Kyelie and I talk a lot about communication, planning, resourcing, different areas. And so really just important that we put some time and effort into this, because again, you will be doing both your business a disservice and also the graduate a disservice. So it won't take very long to actually just map out 12 months worth of key learning objectives. It won't take long at all. And I think the thing is that you don't have to do it all yourself. I would definitely, if you've got other team members around you, even if it's only another administration team member, everyone can be involved, because this is a business decision. It needs to be looked at by the whole firm. And so very much engage the whole team. This doesn't have to all fall on your shoulders if you are the business owner or if you are a manager. I think you can create a working group and, communicate it and get the most amazing graduate plan happening. I know if we get Kyelie back, she'll tell us a little bit more about the intricate side of perhaps what some of those learning objectives are. But I think the most important thing for you to do is to lead from the front. You don't have to do it all. You just have to lead from the front. So maybe you've got some other people helping you. Maybe you've got other accounting friends that are in business as well, and maybe you could do it together and work on it together and put together a graduate program that'll work in all of your firms. I think that's a great idea. But anyway, it's all about planning. Then, of course, it's about communicating and, getting the whole firm involved, and also them taking on some of the responsibility around training and to be accountable for the graduates as well. But I think it's plan, set some goals, set some milestones 1 month at a time, like Kyelie was saying, and Do we have you back, Kylie? I can hear you in the background there, I think, on Clubhouse. Yeah, perfect. So I've just talked a bit more about that 12-month plan and getting the whole firm involved, that it doesn't all have to fall on your shoulders, and planning, communicating, resourcing it properly. So setting some goals, setting some milestones, and getting everyone to help with the responsibility and accountability for graduates, right?
Yeah, and sorry about that. Like
That's
my
all
Wi-Fi
right.
dropped out and actually my 4G, so who knows what's happening there. But someone's obviously
it's
banging the door in
cold.
my
The
area.
Gold Coast can't handle the cold. That's what's going on.
Who knows what's happened? But one of the things, did you talk about, so obviously you talked about getting the team involved as well.
I did, yes, but happy to hear what you talk about that, Kylie. Definitely.
I think that is like a secret hot tip of getting the team involved, because it not only forms relationships and builds culture, but it really installs confidence in that graduate that the employer's not the only one that knows what's going on.
Yes.
It means that they've got, however many in your team to go to. So that might be 3 people, it might be 10 people, not just one person.
Yes.
So it really diffuses the pressure on you to run and maintain that 1 or 2 grads that you've got, which I think is so important.
Absolutely. It diffuses the pressure across the whole firm. It's share the workload, because otherwise, again, this disservice can happen. Our poor graduate feels like a fish out of water, not really knowing who to ask, where to get help. Business owners going, oh my gosh, what are they here for? They're just not doing anything really, and they're not progressing. So I think it's share the workload. But I think there's another short-term benefit in that too, is when you get the team members involved, it helps them develop their teaching skills. It helps everybody be involved at that level. And teaching and sharing of information is a skill in its own right. And we've got, I don't know about you, Kylie, but certainly over the years, I've seen a really strong technical accountants that have trouble sharing their knowledge. And then there's others that may be not quite so technical, but are great at sharing knowledge. So I think that would help you also learn about your team as well, and help them learn. And maybe that's something that they want to try to skill up in a little bit. So it's a good place to start, is teaching in-house, teaching a graduate in-house. Because guess what accounting is? Teaching clients. We really want to be able to teach clients. So I think there's so much in it that people are not, realizing.
I agree. And that's probably when I have the best conversations with my staff about how we learn, and that not everybody is the same kind of learner. Not everyone's a visual learner, not everyone's an audible learner. You have to find out how people learn. Because what you said then is so right. Some of my staff get so frustrated with clients, like, they didn't even read what I sent in that email, and they just picked up the phone and called as soon as I sent it, and they were furious. And I laugh because, first of all, it happens every single time. I don't laugh because they get frustrated.
No.
I just laugh because the situation happens every single time they send an email, and they haven't quite cottoned on that client isn't a visual learner. They don't want to read the email. They get an email and they're like, I'm just going to ring and talk to them. I'll just ask what that email says. Staff members like, why did I waste my time?
Yes.
That's the point. Why did you waste my time sending the email? Exactly. So that whole concept of some of the training that we give our graduates can also be rolled out to the rest of the staff. Now, even if those staff members are already awesome at it and don't need the training, always use it as a refresher. So some of the key professional development areas that you really want your grads to know and learn and understand should also be implemented with some of the other staff members. So what I find is that some of the intermediate level people might not quite get, and I use client services as the best example because it's really the foundation of your business and the part that connects you with clients, and we're so client facing now that that's super important. But things like, how do you transfer the phone? Bane of my existence, right? People not knowing how to transfer the phone. It happens all the time when I ring other firms, and I think lawyers are very similar to accountants. All the time when I ring lawyers. Became so obvious during COVID when people were everywhere and people wouldn't know how to put people through on the phone. And it's like, guys, you've got to know this, because actually this is how we build confidence and trust, and we look professional with clients. So
absolutely,
it's just little things like that.
Yes.
That you can really take the opportunity to go, oh, while we're teaching you that, let's get the other guys in and not assume they don't know, but just have a little refresher.
Because I guarantee there's always one little point or something they didn't know, right? It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Have you been doing that forever? It's like, yes, we've been doing it forever, but that's okay, you know now, so there's
and
always something.
Get upgraded.
Yes.
Well, the systems get upgraded. There's more things. You can't tell everyone everything all the time. So it is really important for everyone to get that understanding and knowledge.
Absolutely.
And I love also when you're training people, and mostly from the newer staff members, so from the grads, you just get this fresh perspective.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
you do that because of this.
Yes.
And it's like a penny drop for some of the other staff.
Yes.
Or the fact that they're so impressed that you do that, because that would be such a great service value to the client. And the staff have never really thought about it because that's the way we've always done it.
Absolutely. And
that's really cool as well.
Yes, it is. And so everybody listening in, or if you might be listening into this afterwards, you can see that Kyelie and I are talking big picture, high level here generally around these graduate programs and why they are so important. And what we're hoping to do is to break down how you feel about them. They are not work experience people. They are not there to necessarily be billing machines to start with. There is so much more if you take your time and plan with this, that you and your business and your team and your clients, everyone will benefit from. So it's just about looking at this differently. So I would think a couple of things I've just noted down too around mistakes that people tend to make a little bit with graduate programs, or that I see. I think we've covered off on a few of them. And, this real concept around the admin side. Now, we've been talking about with professionals that they need to know how client services do stuff. They need to know how to handle the phone. They need to know these general things. I think certainly in the past, and when I was coming through as well, it's often sometimes people can think, oh, I'll just hire a graduate and they can help admin out for 12 months. It's like, they're professionals. They've been to uni. That's not the role that they're looking for. Yes, they need to be trained in that, but I think you can make a real mistake of letting them get too caught up in sitting around administration, and they're not just the cheap labor there to fill the gaps, is I suppose what I'm getting at. Have you seen that happen before, Kyelie? Yeah.
All the time.
Yes.
All the time. I think there's some tasks that can be done in that client services role.
Mm-hmm.
At a high level. So they can do project work because they have got that extra expertise. They have got, that university degree. They have got that analytical mind. But people in client services are more doers, which heaven, bless them. We all need them, and they're fantastic. So I like to use grads to review and finesse processes in client services. So we'll work it out with client services and they'll be like, yep, this works, it's great. And then I'll have a grad who's been there for maybe 6 months, so they understand the systems, understand the processes, look at it with fresh eyes, and say, hey, what we're aiming for here is efficiency, or what we're aiming for here is to decrease the turnaround in time that it takes to get the job into the accountant's hands. Have a look at it with
how do we do that?
And I think grads really relish in doing project work like that.
Yeah.
And while that's client services related, the difference is they're not doing the process, they're reviewing it at a high level.
Okay? Correct.
So they're not the ones we're saying, hey, you now have to send the email, contact the client, blah, blah, blah.
I love that. That's great. The other thing I think there too with the mistakes, and I know we've talked about this as well, is just not resourcing it properly. So we don't want your graduate feeling like they're being passed around or that they're a hindrance. So there needs to be a little bit of planning that goes in that, and engaging the whole team in this program. So I think that's quite key. Because, you're really setting someone up. You want to set them up for success, not set them up for failure. And that's a big part of it. So think about the resourcing. If you do have a very busy time of year where you are particularly, stretched to your limits, and everybody is, don't start the graduate program at that time of year. That's not the best time to do it.
And do a combination of learning. Like, we know that when we run these programs, they are very, they're time heavy on certain key staff.
Yes.
So I do a combination. I do let's share the learning, let's do hands-on learning, but also make sure you're using webinars and videos and internal stuff that you've done before. And I've talked about this on here before, but one of the things that we absolutely use in-house all the time is Loom. So Loom is a little app that you put on your computer and you can talk to the screen and video and take videos of what you're doing. They're great for, hey, this is how you add a new client, this is how you do a BAS, this is how you do this is how you approve work papers, blah, blah, blah.
This is how you do a timesheet entry if you have timesheet, really simple, quick things. Yes.
And better generally than the actual software providers, because we all have our own nuances. So if you look at the software providers, this is how you do a timesheet. They're probably going to do 3 or 4 steps that you don't do, or they're going to miss 3 or 4 steps that you do. So you actually do it specifically for you and your business and the way you like to do things. I think that's super important, to build up a bank of them and then get that person to be going through them as well. So you don't have to work. The worst thing that can happen is they sit there feeling like they've got nothing to do. It's the absolute worst thing. So that is the number one goal. Never let them sit there doing nothing. Yes. It's not good for anyone.
No, it's not. The other thing I'd like to talk about here, and this might be an interesting discussion, is the position on client contact with graduate programs. So I think, again, that I see the mistake is that some firms can just say graduates have no contact, none whatsoever. I don't think that's the best outcome. I think it's got to be slow. It's got to be controlled in the beginning, but I definitely think some client contact is an important part of the graduate program. And Kyelie, what do you think about that?
I agree with you.
Yay.
I think client contact, seriously. I think client contact is important for everyone. We live in an accounting world where we are here to help our clients. The end,
Yes.
So how are you supposed to do that without communicating with the client in an efficient and effective manner? I just want to plant this seed, and it's what I say to everyone that says to me they can't have client contact for at least 6 months. But you'll hire a client services person sometimes without any client services experience, and let them
have contact.
The best client.
Yes. Yeah.
So how does that work?
That's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think it's about setting boundaries, because typically people's answer to me is, oh yeah, but they're just talking to them about their ATO account, or they're just talking to them about booking an appointment, or they're just talking to them about this. Cool. Well, I doubt the grad's going to talk to them about their section 100 issue.
No. Exactly right.
You have to train people about what is okay to discuss and what isn't okay to discuss. And in my office, the rule of thumb is it's never, ever, ever not okay to say, I don't know if I'm actually the best person to talk to about that, or I need to check something and I'll get back to you. Because I would so much rather the client wait than be told the wrong thing.
Exactly.
So, it's our job to set those boundaries, and part of the setting boundaries and where's the line and all that sort of thing is one of the awesome things that you get the time and space to teach in the graduate program, and part of the stuff that comes with assumed knowledge if you hire an intermediate.
Absolutely. Yes. I still think you need to go through that, because again, they'll just be doing things differently to how you do, or may have a different position on certain legislation. I've seen that time and time again. So very important that you put some boundaries around that. And it is absolutely, client contact is good for everyone. You do have to teach that. It's a skill, and absolutely pop some boundaries around it, but take the time to get them involved, because just very important. Okay. And of course, then if you've got a grad who is perhaps still studying, or they are an undergrad, providing for study leave. Okay. I think that's another part that people need to think about, and what that looks like.
I agree. In today's market, it's an exceptionally competitive market. Like, we are all under-resourced. It's not quite adding up, because we're getting hit with a lot of recruiters, and
Yes.
there seems to be a lot of undergrads out there, but we have no staff. So this is hard. But anyway, let's just move past the math that doesn't add up and just keep going. You have to be competitive. Most firms these days are offering study leave and, you know, full support of CA, CPA, those sorts of equivalents. I think you really need to consider that, factor it into your programs. And that's the only way to stay an employer of option. Not even be an employer of choice.
Even actually be an option.
I like that. These are the things that people are looking for.
Yeah. And I think too, we've been talking about just a form of a graduate program here that is really like an internship. So I think that, you know, there can be other forms if you don't want to dive straight into something that is this full-on internship, you know, which I would see is definitely what you were talking about before, the 12-month plan. What are your learning objectives? What are the milestones? You know, what's that look like, involving the other team members? Perhaps, you know, just to start with, you want to provide a bursary to somewhere, you know, that is attracting either high school students in your area or university students in your area. So something that you're supporting, that's a great way to get your name out there, that you might be interested in talking to a graduate or someone about an internship. And then the other one is the classic work experience, paid or unpaid work experience. Now, I think where we can go a little bit wrong with work experience too is those short-term gigs. They are hard. They are hard in our industry, you know, and unless you are resourced up for them, I would approach them with caution. No matter how much you want to give back to your community, I think it can just work out as a lose-lose across the board.
They're the ones where people end up doing admin.
Yes.
It's not fair for
No.
anybody involved.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there's always a place to start, and, you know, it might be something just as simple as offering a bursary and seeing, you know, what comes of that. But forming relationships too with perhaps your local high school, with if you've got a university in the area, you know, you may have some team members that have friends or family or clients that have you know, students in their family as well that are studying. That's always a great one as well, particularly putting it out there to your client base that it's like, you know, we've got a spot for a graduate. Do you have any family or friends that might be interested? That's a really great touch base with clients. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think also you just have to remember that this needs to be a win-win opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, this is a great opportunity for us to give back to the community, but also for us to get some great structure in our team, some great stability in that lower bottom sort of level, if we're looking at from a pecking order point of view, and also higher career acceleration.
Yeah.
So, which is win-win for that staff member and for us. You know, if you can get them young and, well, not young, but young in their career and untainted, and just really teach them your way and your way only, the way they will develop is so much quicker than you hiring them at a certain point in their career. Because every time you change jobs, there's some sort of statistic, you'll probably know it better than me, Linda, but every time you change jobs, you go 12 months backwards developmentally, because you spend that 12 months just learning systems and processes rather than learning actual career development. So basically, if you can keep that person for 5 years, assuming that other people might change jobs at least once or twice in their career, you know, we all know that if you can keep someone for 5 years and grow them from green, that 5-year person is like equivalent to a 7-8 year person, even depending on their technical capability.
Absolutely.
So you get what you get, you know, put in, and you generally get back.
Yes. And if you are a graduate or a new to accounting out there listening into this conversation as well, very important what Kyelie just said there. I had a very senior partner sit me down early in my career and have participated in many, many recruitment interviews with people that would come in and say, I've got 5 years experience. I'm a senior accountant. I'm going for a senior accountant role. They had 5 different roles over 5 different different years, and their senior partner would very quite gruffly tell them that they have 5 times 1 year experience. So they are still only at graduate level. Now, of course, that didn't go down particularly well at that point, but it is exactly right. So be conscious of what you're doing as far as your profession or your career goes. But that's exactly what's happening. And, you know, if you are looking at recruiting, look at that. At the start of your career in particular, you know, those jumping around to different roles is, you know, can be somewhat detrimental to your learning or your career. But look, we understand why it needs to happen, but then you've got to line up realistic expectations around that. But yeah, 5 times 1 year, not 5 years experience. So that's perhaps a different way of looking at it as well. But I think,
love that story.
Yeah, there was, tell you what, some really interesting recruitment interviews that I sat in, and I was just like, can I leave now? Because this was, it made for, some sticky situations. But anyway, we got through. So yeah, look, I think the place to start really here is to think about a graduate program in a different light. That's what Kyelie and I are really trying to get you to do here, is to think about it differently. Think about perhaps all of the things that you might dislike about previous graduates or work experience, or these new to accounting people that you've had in firms before or experienced in your career. Write those down and flip them to something that's positive. How can we change that then? You take the lead, you take the initiative, because it is up to you to flip that around and make it a positive experience for everybody. And you can do that. That's very easy. It's just going to take some time and some planning. And I think step 1 is just get a loose plan together. Talk to your team, or talk to other accounting business owners. There might be other solo entrepreneurs out there that are in accounting as well that you could talk to. And I think also too, one biggie is check your perfectionism at the door. It's not about getting it perfectly right. It's just about starting. That's all you need to do, because it will never be perfectly right, and you need to test and trial these things. So let's check the perfectionism. We'll leave that behind and just get started. Kyelie, do you have any tips for just getting started?
Ooh, just tips that I can say on camera. I think when you talk about just getting started, it is about, you know, 2 choices: do something or do nothing. If you have a staffing problem and you're like, I just need to sort this out, don't only think of that Band-Aid solution, think longer term. A graduate absolutely can give you a longer term solution. But the problem is, if you don't start now, we're still going to be talking about this in 12 months' time, because I don't think this resourcing issue is going away for us.
Nope.
I also get very concerned that our grads are going to get fewer and, you know, just fewer basically, because people at uni are not studying they're not studying straight accounting anymore. They're not studying commerce to be accountants. They're studying to do, you know, fancy schmancy things. We are going to, this problem isn't going away. So the sooner I think that you can get in and grab someone and teach them how wonderful our part of the industry is, the better.
Absolutely. And look, I've got a very good friend who is the accounting and finance teacher, amongst other things, at a rather elite private school. And we've had many conversations about the diminishing students that are coming through in those traditional accounting streams. So we're not even getting them at high school level, and then they, you know, university is dipping down as well. So collectively as an industry, we need to do something about that. It's not just the big guys that need to do this, the big firms. It's not just our industry organizations. It's really up to us that are on at the coalface and that need to actually help with this as well. So I would implore you all to think about graduate programs and what you might be able to do there, but set yourself up for success. do some planning with this. Don't just jump in and then end up in a lose-lose situation. Take your time with it, but just start. I think that's so important. So I think we're at the top of the hour then, Kyelie. Let's look at what we're talking about next week. Ooh, I love this one. So next Wednesday, 8th of June, we're going to talk about cutting the clutter, zero inboxing for accountants. This is one of my favorite topics. Everybody else is going, ooh, probably don't want to talk about it, but I love it. And I'll give you a little insight. I think the hardest thing about zero inboxing is remembering that zero is with a Z, not with an X. So I think that's the hardest thing.
That's an accountant joke.
I'm good at accounting jokes. I'm good at introvert jokes too. So yeah, but everybody have a wonderful day today. Have a great week. I'll be here talking to you next week. And Kyelie, again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.